Catch up on the series with our updated playlist. Link in the comments section.
Enlil beheld the deeds of the Igigi with great displeasure, and he cried out, saying, Behold, the earthlings shall now overpopulate the land, and they shall be as a swarm upon the face of the earth. And in his fury he decreed, saying, Let these earthling females whom the Igigi have taken be sent away to Lahmu, Mars, that their rebellion be undone. But Marduk, son of Enki, stepped forth and interceded before Enlil, saying, My lord, the planet Lahmu is no longer fit for habitation. Its waters have dried, its winds howl with fury, and the red dust chokes the breath of those who dwell there. To send them there is to sentence them to death. Enlil, hearing these words, refused them the right to dwell in the Eden, and so the Igigi and their wives fled into the wilderness. They sought refuge in the Cedar Mountains, where they bore their offspring, and these were known as the children of the rocket ships, for their fathers came from the heavens. Then Marduk, seeking to aid the forsaken ones, spoke unto them, saying, Come, my brethren, I shall grant you a place of dwelling in the land beyond the Abzu. And in the region of the Upper Nile he established 2 great cities, one for his firstborn Asa, and the other for Satu. Some of the Igigi and their earthling wives heeded Marduk's call, and they dwelt in these cities, building their homes among the children of Marduk. But Shamgaz and his closest followers refused, saying, We shall remain in seclusion, lest the wrath of Enlil fall upon us. And so Shamgaz and those with him dwelt in the Cedar Mountains, while others of their kind journeyed eastward, where they found refuge in the high mountains, the lands where the clouds touch the peaks, which men now call the Himalayas. Ninurta beheld the increasing numbers of earthlings, and he saw that Marduk waxed mighty among them, and his dominion grew. Enlil spoke in council with Ninurta, saying, Go forth and see what Marduk and Enki conspire in secret. Ninurta, heeding the word of his father, departed unto the land of Cain, and he beheld the offspring of Cain, who multiplied and spread across the land. Then Ninurta in wisdom called them unto them, and he taught them the ways of metalworking, to mine from the deep places of the earth, to smelt and refine the ores, and to fashion weapons and tools. He saw that they were a restless people, and he said unto them, Behold, I shall teach thee the craft of building mighty vessels, that thou mayest cross the great waters. And from the balsam trees he showed them how to hew great beams. From these they fashioned boats with high bows and sturdy hulls, so that they might sail across the vast sea to lands unknown. Then Ninurta, seeing their diligence, guided them across the mighty waters, and they journeyed to a land far beyond the setting sun. There, upon the shores of a distant world, they established a new dominion. And in that land they built a great city with twin towers, that they served as beacons, as the twin peaks of Ararat did. Thus the seed of Cain was spread afar, and they became mighty people. In the land of Eden, LuMach remained a workmaster, and he enforced the rationing of food among the earthlings, for the land was stricken with hardship. LuMach's spouse, Batanash, was of great beauty, her form pleasing to behold. Soon the ever-watchful eye of Enki, whose desires were many, fell upon her. Enki spake unto his son Marduk, saying, Call forth LuMach unto thee, and take him far from Eden. Tell him that he shall learn to build a city for the earthlings, that they may dwell in peace. LuMach, trusting in the words of the god, departed from Eden. Enki, with cunning, rejoiced in his heart, for now the woman was left unguarded. Batanash went to the house of Ninmah, the wise and the healer. There she sought refuge from the angry multitudes of earthlings in the city of Shurubak. Enki, under the guise of visiting his sister Ninmah, sought after Batanash. Upon a certain day Batanash went to bathe upon the roof of the house. Enki, beholding her from afar, was smitten with desire, and he went unto her in secret, grasping her with force, kissing her lips, and laying with her. The passions of the gods overcame him, and they mingled their flesh as one. And it came to pass that in the days of LuMach his wife Batanash conceived, and bore a son. When the child was brought forth, his skin was white as snow, and his hair was as the wool of the lamb. His eyes were like the sky in its brilliance, and they shone as the stars of the heavens. LuMach beheld the child and was sorely perplexed, saying in his heart, How can this be? For this son is unlike me, and his form is not of my seed. Fear entered his soul, for he did not know the truth about the matter. LuMach went in haste unto his father Methuselah the wise, and recounted all that had transpired. Methuselah, beholding the babe with his own eyes, was filled with wonder and suspicion, and he spake, saying, Tell me, Batanash, truly hath an Igigi lain with thee? Is this child of the watchers? But Batanash, trembling, lifted her hands unto the heavens, and swore an oath, saying, By the name of the great lords, I have not lain with the watchers. No Igigi is the father of this child. Methuselah, seeing her steadfastness, was satisfied and spoke no more of this matter. He placed his hand upon LuMach's shoulder and said, My son, though this child is of peculiar form, do not let your heart be troubled, for the gods have set their hand upon him, and he is chosen for a great destiny. Though we know not the purpose of his days, fate shall reveal it in time, and his path shall be made clear. LuMach, though still troubled, held the child close, knowing that the will of the heavens was at work. And in those days the earth grew cold, and the skies were as brass, for the heavens withheld their waters, and the land was without rain. Famine spread across the earth, the harvest failed, the herds of the field diminished, and there was suffering among the people. LuMach and his house were sorely afflicted, and he beheld the hunger of his people, yet no relief could be found. Rationing was increased, and the cry of the multitudes rose unto the heavens. Methuselah the elder beheld the child that was born unto Batanash, and in his heart he knew that the child was a sign from the great lords. He spake, saying, This child is an omen of the times to come, his birth is not in vain. And Batanash called the child Zeusudra, meaning he of long bright life days. And she raised him in the city of Shurubak, where he dwelt under the care of Ninmah. Ninmah looked upon the child with favour, and she saw wisdom in his eyes and strength in his spirit. She shielded him from the harshness of the world, and in her abode he was given knowledge and the ways of the lords. There the child grew in wisdom and understanding, for the spirit of knowledge was upon him, and his mind was sharp. He found favour in the eyes of Enki, his true father, who looked upon him with great affection. Enki took him aside and whispered unto him the secrets of old, and he placed before him the sacred writings of Adapa, the first of civilized mankind. Zeusudra read the words and understood them, and he perceived the ways of the Anunnaki and their dominion over the earth. In his youth he was taught the duties of the priesthood, and he learned the ways of the rites, the offerings, and the sacred mysteries. His voice was lifted in the temples, and his hands were purified for service, and the people revered him, for he walked in the wisdom of the gods. When Zeusudra reached the age of his strength, he took a wife, Enzara, and she bore him 3 sons in the likeness of their father. They were called Shem, Ham, and Japheth, each destined for his own path, and their names were written in the annals of time, for their seed would fill the earth. But behold, the earth groaned under the weight of famine and pestilence, for the rivers yielded not their bounty, nor did the fields bring forth their grain. The earthlings cried out in anguish, for hunger devoured them like a raging fire. Sickness spread among them, consuming their strength. Their bodies trembled with fevers, and their minds grew faint with dizziness. The pestilence walked among them as a shadow in the night, and death reaped them as a harvester in the field. Ninmah, the Lady of Healing, beheld their suffering with great sorrow, and she spake unto Enlil, saying, Let us show them the ways of healing, that they may find remedy for their afflictions, and be restored. But Enlil's heart was hardened, and he forbade it, saying, The mission of the Anunnaki has been defiled, and the order of the gods is undone. He spake in great displeasure, recalling the folly of Marduk, who took an earthling to wife, against the laws of heaven. And he raised his voice against the Igigi, who left the heavens to take for themselves the daughters of men. The sons of the gods have mingled with the seed of earth, he lamented, and the abominations walk among us, giants and men of renown. Enki, the wise and knowing, sought to ease the burdens of the earthlings, and he spake to Ninmah, saying, Let us teach them the ways of sustenance, that they may build canals and ponds, that the waters may feed their crops, and they may draw fish from the depths for their meat. But Enlil's wrath was kindled, and he forbade it, saying, The earthlings grow too many, their voices rise up and trouble my sleep. And he turned his face from their suffering, and he showed them no mercy. And lo, the cries of the earthlings ascended to the heavens, for hunger consumed them as a raging flame, and pestilence walked among them as a shadow. The rivers gave no fish, the fields bore no grain, and the flocks were few upon the hills. Yet Enlil, the Lord of the command, turned not his ear to their lamentations, for he said in his heart, The earth is filled beyond its measure, and the seed of man is too great. He spake unto the assembly of the Anunnaki, saying, Let the multitude perish, for their numbers defy the order of the gods. And famine stretched forth its hand, and men fell as leaves before the tempest. They searched the ground for the herbs of the field, and they ate of the grass as the beasts of burden. But when the herbs were no more, when the trees bore no fruit, desperation overtook them, and darkness entered their hearts. And behold, they turned against their own flesh, and man devoured man, as it is written in the book of Enoch. The Anunnaki beheld the horror, and some were moved with pity, but Enlil's heart was as stone, and he relented not from his decree. As long as our storehouses are full, he declared, the cries of the earthlings matter not. Let them be as dust before the wind. And many years passed, and suffering was unceasing, for the wrath of Enlil was mighty, and his will was unwavering. And in those days the cries of the earthlings were great upon the land. Their voices rose like a bitter incense, calling unto the heavens for mercy. Ziusudra, the wise and righteous among men, went before Enki, the lord of the Abzu, and fell upon his face. O great Lord, Father of our fathers, hear the cries of thy creation. The people perish, the fields are barren, and the waters yield no fish. But Enki, the wise and compassionate, was bound by an oath, for Enlil, the Lord of the command, had sealed the fate of men, and Enki was powerless to undo that which was decreed. Enki spake with sorrow in his voice, saying, My son, my heart is heavy, for the hands that shaped thee are now tied. I gave thee wisdom, I gave thee life, yet now I may not grant thee salvation. And Ziusudra lifted his eyes unto Enki, saying, Was it not thou, O Lord, who fashioned us from the clay of the earth? Was it not by thy hand and by the wisdom of Ninmah that we were made? Shall the work of thy creation now be left to perish? But Enki turned his face away, for his grief was great, and the weight of his oath lay heavy upon his soul, and the heavens grew darker, and the earth was stricken with drought. The rivers shrank, the crops withered, and the herds were no more. And the hearts of men were filled with despair, for the wrath of Enlil was upon them, and no aid came. And in those days the heavens were troubled, for the signs in the skies were many, and great was the fear upon the earth. The seasons no longer followed their appointed times, and the winds of change blew across the lands and the waters. And lo, upon Lamach, Mars, the red star of the heavens, the air grew thin, and the dust storms raged without ceasing. The sky darkened, and the waters withdrew, and the Igigi trembled in their stations, for the heavens had turned against them. And beyond the firmament the great hammered bracelet was moved. Its stones no longer followed their ordained paths, for the unseen hand of the heavens did stir them, and their courses were no longer fixed in the vault of the skies. And upon the great sun, the giver of life, there arose great flares of fire, and the light of the day was dimmed. The earth did shake, and the waves did swell, and the children of men cried out in fear, for the signs of destruction were written in the heavens. And in the farthest reaches of the celestial expanse, even unto Nibiru, the mighty world of kings, the wise ones beheld the trembling of the stars, and their hearts were filled with dread. And the people of Nibiru lifted their voices in despair, saying, Lo, the Almighty God, the Creator of all, has turned his gaze upon the works of our hands. Shall he return all to the void from whence we came? And there was great mourning in the cities of Nibiru. The priests lifted their hands to the heavens, and the kings of old trembled upon their thrones, saying, Is this the end of all things? Shall the wrath of the Almighty undo the works of time? But among the gods there was silence, for there were many signs, and none could discern their meaning. The sun waxed hot, yet the lands grew barren. The winds howled as never before, and the waters withdrew from their bounds. The stars in their courses wavered. The moon no longer shone as it once did, and the hammered bracelet was in disarray, for the order of the heavens was disturbed. Ninurta, son of Enlil, the mighty warrior and seeker of truth, lifted his eyes to the farthest reaches of the earth, and beheld the land of the White Land, the place of frozen silence, where the ice is thick as mountains, and the winds carry the breath of the void. And he said unto his father Enlil, Something great stirreth beneath the snow. Let me go forth and seek wisdom, lest the day of calamity come upon us unawares. Enlil, though weary in spirit, granted him leave, saying, Go, my son, and search the ends of the earth, uncover that which is hidden, and bring forth knowledge, that we may know the fate which awaiteth us all. Ninurta, with his chosen men, took to his sky chariot, and journeyed beyond the lands of the known. Over the great waters he flew, beyond the mountains and valleys, until he came to the land of everlasting frost. And Ninurta lifted his voice, saying, What mystery is this, O heavens? What secret doth the ice conceal?